Your soulmate hired an investigator to know your secrets. They fainted when the investigator revealed. My beloved child, your soulmate reached a moment where questions became louder than emotions. Every smile you gave, every goodbye you whispered, every silence you carried began to feel like pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit together. They stopped asking friends. They stopped trusting rumors. Instead, they quietly hired someone whose only job was to uncover the truth hidden behind your ordinary life. They believed they would discover a secret that would explain why your heart always seemed distant. But they had no idea that the investigation would uncover something completely different. The investigator followed every path, opened every forgotten chapter, and connected details no one else had ever noticed. Then one evening, the report finally arrived. Your soulmate smiled with confidence, expecting simple answers. But the moment the investigator began reading the first page, that confidence slowly disappeared. Every sentence became heavier than the last. Every revelation shattered another assumption they had carried for so long. They realized they had misunderstood you from the very beginning. The investigator did not expose a hidden betrayal. They exposed a hidden sacrifice. Don't skip. What came next changed everything they believed about your story. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. A strange silence filled the room as the investigator continued speaking. They explained that while everyone around you believed your life was peaceful, there were countless moments where you quietly carried burdens that no one ever noticed. Opportunities had appeared before you, yet you stepped aside so someone else could move forward. Recognition had almost reached your hands, yet you allowed another person to receive the credit without saying a single word. The investigator had expected to uncover secrets of deception, but instead found page after page filled with quiet kindness that had never been seen. Your soulmate's hands began to tremble. They remembered every time they thought your silence meant distance, when in reality it had been strength. They remembered every conversation they judged too quickly, every goodbye they misunderstood, every moment they assumed you simply did not care. Suddenly, every memory started replaying with a completely different meaning. Their heartbeat grew faster because they realized the biggest secret was not something you had hidden from them, it was everything you had hidden to protect everyone else. Don't skip. The final pages of the report had not even been opened yet, and the investigator warned that what remained would be almost impossible to believe. Then the investigator slowly placed one last sealed envelope on the table and refused to speak for several seconds. They quietly admitted that during years of investigations, they had never delivered a report quite like this one. Inside that envelope was a discovery that connected your past, your present, and a promise that no one expected to find. Your soulmate hesitated before touching it because something inside them already feared the answer. When the seal finally broke, only a few lines were visible before the color completely disappeared from their face. The investigator immediately stood up, realizing your soulmate had become overwhelmed by what they had just read. It was not because of wealth. It was not because of fame. It was because they finally understood that the person they had been searching for had been protecting their heart from a truth far greater than anyone imagined. In that moment, everything around them felt unreal. The investigation had only begun, yet the greatest revelation was still waiting inside the pages no one had dared to read aloud. Stay till the end, because the next discovery will reveal why your soulmate could never look at you the same way again. Something huge is waiting for you. Beyond that unbelievable moment, the investigator quietly asked your soulmate to sit down before reading another word. They explained that the next section of the report had never been shared with anyone else because it contained details that completely changed the reason behind the investigation itself. Your soulmate nodded, still unable to believe what had already been revealed. Then the investigator slowly unfolded another document filled with dates, places, and forgotten moments. One after another, every event pointed toward the same unbelievable conclusion. You had crossed paths with your soulmate more times than either of you could remember, yet fate had hidden those moments so perfectly that they always felt like strangers meeting for the first time. Every missed opportunity suddenly carried a new meaning. Every delay suddenly looked intentional. Don't skip. What the investigator uncovered next was so unexpected that your soulmate whispered, "How did I never see this before?" Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The investigator continued with calm confidence. They revealed that every person they questioned described you in almost the exact same way. Not because they had rehearsed their answers, but because your character had left the same unforgettable impression everywhere you went. Some remembered your kindness. Others remembered your quiet courage. A few admitted they had once misunderstood you until they finally witnessed the truth with their own eyes. The investigator looked directly at your soulmate and said, "I searched for hidden secrets, but every path kept leading me back to one thing: this person protects others even when nobody notices." Those words echoed through the room. Your soulmate closed their eyes as old memories returned one after another. Moments they once ignored suddenly became impossible to forget. Every small gesture you made now carried a meaning they had completely overlooked. Their heart grew heavier because they realized they had spent so much time searching for flaws that they never noticed the extraordinary person standing in front of them all along. Don't skip. The final file had still not been opened, and according to the investigator, it contained the single biggest discovery of the entire case. The investigator reached into the folder one final time and carefully placed a photograph on the table. Your soulmate stared at it in complete silence. At first, it looked ordinary. But after a closer look, they noticed something hidden in the background that connected everything they had just heard. It was proof that your lives had been moving toward each other long before either of you realized it. The investigator explained that this one piece of evidence answered every unanswered question from the beginning of the report. Your soulmate could barely breathe as every emotion they had buried came rushing back at once. They finally understood why nothing about you had ever felt ordinary. They understood why every attempt to walk away had somehow led their thoughts back to you. But the investigator wasn't finished. They quietly said there was one final truth that had been locked away until now, a truth that would force your soulmate to make a decision they could never take back. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. A long silence settled over the room before the investigator finally reached for the last folder. Unlike the others, this one had no title on the cover. It contained no obvious clues, no highlighted pages, and no dramatic notes. The investigator looked at your soulmate with unusual seriousness and quietly said, "Everything you've heard until now only explains who this person is. What you're about to hear explains why." Your soulmate's heartbeat grew louder with every passing second. They slowly opened the folder, expecting another hidden chapter from your past. Instead, they found something far more shocking. The pages revealed a pattern that stretched across years, showing moments where you quietly walked away from situations that could have changed your own life forever. Not because you were afraid. Not because you lacked the chance. But because protecting someone else's happiness always mattered more to you than your own success. The investigator admitted they had searched everywhere for selfish motives, yet every answer pointed in the opposite direction. Don't skip. The greatest discovery was no longer hidden in the documents, it was hidden inside the reason behind every decision you had ever made. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate leaned back in complete disbelief as another page revealed conversations nobody thought still existed. They were ordinary words at first glance, but together they painted a picture that no one had expected. Every sentence showed the same quiet truth. You never asked for recognition. You never defended yourself when people misunderstood you. You simply kept moving forward, believing that one day the truth would reveal itself without forcing anyone to believe it. The investigator paused and said something that instantly filled the room with silence. Most people spend their lives trying to protect their reputation. This person spent their life protecting other people's peace. Those words struck your soulmate harder than anything they had heard before. Memories that once seemed unimportant suddenly became impossible to ignore. The small sacrifices. The quiet smiles. The moments where you disappeared without explanation. None of them had been accidents. Every single one had carried a purpose that nobody noticed until now. Don't skip. One final piece of evidence remained hidden, and according to the investigator, it was the only reason this entire report had been created in the first place. The investigator slowly removed a sealed handwritten note from the very bottom of the folder. They explained that it had been discovered only hours before the report was completed. No one knew it existed. Your soulmate carefully unfolded the page, and after reading only a few lines, their entire expression changed. The note did not reveal a secret about your past. It revealed the future your actions had quietly shaped without expecting anything in return. Every choice you made had left invisible marks on people who never even thanked you. The investigator softly admitted that this was the rarest conclusion they had ever written. They came looking for hidden secrets but ended up discovering hidden greatness instead. Your soulmate lowered the paper with trembling hands, realizing they had spent far too long searching for answers while overlooking the person who had been quietly rewriting every expectation. Yet the investigator wasn't ready to leave. Before walking away, they whispered one final sentence. There is still one truth I couldn't put inside this report, because only your heart can uncover it. Stay till the end, because the next moment will change everything your soulmate decides from this day forward. Something huge is waiting for you. When the investigator quietly stood up to leave, your soulmate stopped them with one final question. If everything in this report is true, then why did they never tell me? The investigator looked back with calm eyes and answered, because some people would rather carry the weight alone than place it on someone they care about. Those words echoed through the room long after the investigator fell silent. Your soulmate lowered their head, realizing they had spent so much time searching for hidden secrets that they never searched for hidden reasons. The investigator then revealed one last detail that had never been included in the official file. During the investigation, they had spoken to someone who knew you better than almost anyone else. That person didn't describe your achievements or your dreams. Instead, they described the quiet promises you kept without expecting anyone to notice. They said you never wanted applause. You only wanted the people you cared about to smile, even if they never knew why. Your soulmate could no longer hold back the emotions that had been building since the investigation began. They understood that every assumption they once believed had been built on incomplete pieces of the story. The truth was far more powerful than anything they had imagined. They didn't discover a mystery about you, they discovered the depth of your heart. Don't skip. One final decision now stood before your soulmate, and whatever choice they made would change everything that followed. As your soulmate carefully closed the final folder, they realized the investigation had never truly been about uncovering your secrets. It had been about uncovering their own misunderstanding. The answers they searched for were now clear, but one question remained inside their heart: what should they do next? They looked once more at the investigator, who quietly smiled and said, "Some truths aren't meant to end a story. They're meant to begin a new one." Your soulmate slowly stood, holding the report closer than before, knowing they could never look at you the same way again. The person they thought they were investigating had become the person they respected more than anyone else. Yet, just as they prepared to leave, they noticed one small envelope tucked beneath the folder, an envelope that hadn't been mentioned even once during the investigation. They reached for it with trembling hands, unaware that what was inside would become the most unforgettable revelation of all. Stay till the end, because the final chapter is about to reveal the one truth that changes everything forever. Something huge is waiting for you. The room was completely silent as your soulmate picked up the forgotten envelope. There was no name on it. No date. No signature. Only a single sentence written across the front. "Open this only after you understand the truth." Those words sent a chill through the room. Your soulmate looked toward the investigator, but they simply nodded, as if they had been waiting for this exact moment. With unsteady hands, the envelope was opened. Inside was only one handwritten page, yet every line carried more weight than the entire investigation. It explained that the greatest secret was never something you were hiding from the world. The greatest secret was that you had quietly accepted being misunderstood because proving yourself was never as important as protecting the people you cared about. Your soulmate froze. Every painful misunderstanding, every unanswered question, every silent goodbye suddenly fit together like pieces of a puzzle that had taken years to complete. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As they continued reading, another shocking realization emerged. The investigator admitted there had been several moments during the investigation when they believed they had finally uncovered a dark secret. Yet every lead ended the same way. Instead of finding deception, they found compassion. Instead of uncovering selfishness, they discovered sacrifice. The report described strangers whose lives had quietly changed because of your actions, even though most of them never learned your name. Your soulmate's eyes filled with emotion as they remembered every time they had doubted your intentions. They finally understood that your silence had never been emptiness. It had been strength hidden behind ordinary moments. The investigator gently closed the remaining files and quietly said, "In all my years of searching for the truth, I have never seen a story where every secret made someone more remarkable instead of less." Those words stayed with your soulmate long after the room became silent again. They realized this investigation had uncovered something far greater than facts. It had uncovered the true measure of your heart. Then, just as your soulmate prepared to leave, the investigator stopped them one final time. From their pocket, they produced a tiny folded note that had been discovered only minutes before the report was delivered. "I almost forgot this," they said softly. Perhaps it was meant to be read last. Your soulmate unfolded it with trembling hands. The message was incredibly short, but it changed everything. It simply read, "The greatest truth about someone is never found by following their footsteps, it is found by understanding the reasons they walked that path." Your soulmate stood there without speaking, holding those words close as every misunderstanding disappeared forever. In that unforgettable moment, they realized the investigation had not exposed your secrets, it had revealed your extraordinary character. And deep inside, they made a decision that would quietly reshape every chapter still waiting to be written. Stay till the end, because the final chapter will reveal the unexpected choice your soulmate makes after discovering the truth. Something huge is waiting for you. The morning after the investigation, your soulmate looked at the thick report one last time before quietly closing it forever. They no longer needed the pages. They no longer needed the evidence. Everything that mattered had already changed inside them. The person they once believed was surrounded by unanswered questions had become the person they admired more than anyone else. They realized that searching for your secrets had only revealed their own mistakes. Every assumption had disappeared. Every doubt had faded. In its place stood a respect so deep that it could never again be shaken. For the first time, they understood that the strongest hearts are often the quietest ones. Don't skip. What happened next was the moment the entire investigation had unknowingly been leading toward. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As your soulmate stepped outside, the world looked strangely different. The streets were the same. The sky had not changed. Yet everything felt new because they were seeing you through completely different eyes. They no longer wondered whether your silence meant distance. They now understood it had always carried wisdom, patience, and strength. The investigator's final words echoed again and again inside their mind. Some people spend their lives searching for extraordinary people without realizing they already met one. Those words became impossible to ignore. Your soulmate made a quiet promise to themselves that if another opportunity ever appeared, they would never again judge your story before understanding it. They would never allow assumptions to replace truth. The investigation that began with suspicion had ended with admiration, gratitude, and a respect that only grew stronger with every passing moment. Then, as your soulmate walked away carrying nothing except the memories of everything they had learned, they smiled for the very first time since the investigation began. They finally understood that the greatest discovery had never been hidden inside confidential files or secret reports. It had been hidden inside your character all along. The investigator had uncovered facts, but your soulmate had uncovered something far more valuable, the truth about the kind of person you really were. From that day forward, every memory carried a different meaning, every conversation felt more precious, and every future decision was shaped by the lesson they could never forget. The investigation was over, but its impact would remain forever. Your soulmate no longer searched for your secrets, because they had already found the one truth that mattered most. Stay till the end, because every great story reminds us that the deepest truths are often hidden in the quietest hearts. Something huge was waiting all along, and now it has finally been revealed. Days passed, but your soulmate could not stop thinking about everything the investigator had uncovered. The report was locked away, yet its words echoed louder with each sunrise. Every ordinary moment reminded them of something they had once overlooked. A familiar place. A forgotten conversation. A quiet smile. It all carried a meaning they had completely missed before. They finally understood that the greatest people rarely announce who they are. They simply leave behind moments that only make sense when someone is willing to see them with an open heart. Don't skip. The story was not over. In fact, the most unexpected chapter had only just begun. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. One quiet evening, your soulmate returned to the investigator with one final request. Tell me, they asked, was there anything you chose not to include in the report? The investigator remained silent for several seconds before opening a small notebook that had never been shown before. There was one thing, they replied softly. It wasn't evidence, so I couldn't place it in the file. Your soulmate leaned forward as the investigator continued. Every person I spoke to said the same thing without knowing each other. They all believed that anyone who truly understood you would never want to lose you. The room became completely still. No documents. No photographs. No hidden records. Just the same heartfelt conclusion from people whose paths had never crossed. At that moment, your soulmate realized the investigation had revealed something even more powerful than facts. It had revealed the lasting impression you quietly left on every life you touched. Don't skip. One final decision was now waiting to be made. That night, your soulmate stood beneath the open sky, holding none of the files, none of the reports, and none of the evidence. They no longer needed proof because the truth had already transformed the way they saw you forever. They whispered to themselves that if another chance ever appeared, they would not waste it questioning your intentions. They would value your silence, respect your journey, and never again mistake your quiet strength for distance. Unknown to them, the investigator watched from afar with a gentle smile, knowing this case had ended unlike any other. It had not exposed hidden secrets, it had awakened hidden understanding. And somewhere, without either of you realizing it, a brand new chapter had already begun, one built not on suspicion, but on trust, respect, and a truth that could never be hidden again. Stay till the end, because sometimes the greatest revelation is not discovering who someone is, it is finally seeing who they have always been. Something huge was waiting for you all along. The investigator believed the case had finally come to an end, but one unexpected phone call changed everything. Early the next morning, they received a message from someone who had quietly followed your journey for years. They didn't ask for recognition. They didn't want their name recorded. They simply said, "There is one final truth your soulmate deserves to know." Minutes later, another sealed envelope arrived. It contained no photographs, no official records, and no witness statements. Instead, it held a collection of small moments that had never seemed important until they were placed together. Every page revealed another quiet act of kindness. Every memory showed another sacrifice made without expecting anything in return. The investigator stared at the pages in disbelief, wondering how one person could leave such a powerful impact while asking for absolutely nothing in return. Don't skip. What your soulmate was about to discover would completely change the ending they thought this story already had. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. When your soulmate arrived, the investigator placed the new envelope on the table without saying a single word. As they slowly turned each page, their breathing became heavier. There were stories from strangers whose lives had quietly changed because of a single conversation with you. There were moments where hope returned simply because you chose kindness instead of judgment. There were opportunities you gave away so someone else could succeed first. None of these stories had ever reached social media. None had been celebrated. They had simply become part of other people's lives while your name quietly disappeared into the background. Your soulmate lowered the pages, unable to believe that someone they thought they already understood could still surprise them in such an extraordinary way. The investigator softly admitted, "I searched for hidden secrets, but I ended up discovering hidden greatness." At that instant, every remaining doubt vanished forever. Don't skip. The final page of the envelope had not yet been opened, and according to the investigator, it contained the one sentence that explained everything. With trembling hands, your soulmate unfolded the very last page. It contained only a few carefully written words: "The greatest legacy is not what people know about you, it is how many lives become brighter because you were part of them." The room fell completely silent. Your soulmate closed their eyes as every emotion from the investigation returned at once. They finally understood why every search for your secrets had failed. There were no dark mysteries waiting to be uncovered. There was only a remarkable story hidden inside ordinary moments that no one had taken the time to notice. The investigator quietly gathered the remaining papers and smiled, knowing this was the only case where the truth left everyone feeling inspired instead of shocked. Your soulmate walked away carrying no files, no evidence, and no unanswered questions, only a new understanding that would remain with them forever. Stay till the end, because the journey that began with suspicion has ended with the rarest discovery of all, the truth about an extraordinary heart. Something huge was waiting for you all along. The investigator filed the case away, believing nothing else could possibly change. But just before the archive was sealed, an elderly assistant quietly walked into the room carrying a weathered notebook that had never been examined. This was found after the investigation officially ended, they whispered. "I thought it no longer mattered, but now I believe it matters more than everything else." Your soulmate looked at the notebook with curiosity, unaware that it contained the final missing piece of a story that had taken years to understand. As the first page was opened, it became clear that these were not reports or statements. They were observations written by people who had crossed paths with you at different times, none of whom had ever met each other. Yet every page described the same rare quality. Different words. Different memories. The same conclusion. Don't skip. Your soulmate had already discovered the truth, but they had not yet discovered its full meaning. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The notebook revealed moments so ordinary that most people would have forgotten them forever. A stranger remembered how you encouraged someone when nobody else noticed their struggle. Another page described how you quietly stepped aside so another person could receive an opportunity they desperately needed. Someone else wrote that you never stayed long enough to receive gratitude, almost as if helping others had never been about being remembered. Your soulmate turned page after page, and every story made their heart heavier. The investigator gently admitted that none of these moments could be verified through official records because kindness rarely leaves legal evidence. It leaves memories. And those memories had survived long after the moments themselves had passed. For the first time, your soulmate understood that your greatest secret had never been hidden behind locked doors. It had been hidden inside everyday choices that nobody thought were important until they were seen together. Don't skip. One final page remained untouched, and the investigator insisted it should be read slowly. Your soulmate carefully unfolded the last page. Unlike the others, it contained no story at all, only a single handwritten sentence that seemed to answer every question left in the investigation. The people who shine the brightest are often the ones who never try to be seen. Tears quietly filled your soulmate's eyes as they closed the notebook. The investigation that began with suspicion had ended with admiration. The search for hidden secrets had become a journey toward hidden truth. At that moment, they made one silent promise they would carry for the rest of their life: they would never again measure a person by rumors, assumptions, or appearances. They would measure people by the quiet difference they leave in the lives of others. As they walked away from the investigator for the very last time, they smiled with complete certainty. The greatest mystery had finally been solved, not because secrets were uncovered, but because the truth had finally been seen. Stay till the end, because the final chapter will reveal the unforgettable decision your soulmate makes after everything they have learned. Something huge is waiting for you. The sun had barely risen when your soulmate made the most important decision of their life. They did not reach for the investigation files. They did not ask for more evidence. They did not search for another hidden report. Instead, they quietly gathered every document, every photograph, every handwritten note, and placed them back inside the folder where the story had first begun. They looked at the investigator one last time and said, "I came here searching for secrets. I am leaving with the truth." The investigator smiled, knowing those words meant the case had achieved something no investigation ever could. It had not uncovered a hidden life, it had transformed a human heart. Your soulmate finally understood that your greatest quality had never been something waiting to be exposed. It had been quietly visible all along, hidden only because so few people ever stopped long enough to truly see it. Don't skip. One final revelation still remained, and it would become the ending nobody expected. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Before leaving, the investigator handed your soulmate one final sealed card. "I was asked to give you this only after everything was finished," they said. Your soulmate slowly opened it, expecting one last shocking discovery. Instead, the card contained only a simple message: the truth was never meant to change what you know. It was meant to change how you see. Those words echoed through the silence. In that instant, every page of the investigation suddenly made perfect sense. The purpose had never been to reveal hidden mistakes or buried mysteries. The purpose had been to remove every misunderstanding standing between perception and reality. Your soulmate smiled for the first time without uncertainty. They finally understood that real character cannot be measured by rumors, appearances, or assumptions. It is revealed through quiet choices repeated over time, even when nobody is watching. Every unanswered question had finally found its answer. As your soulmate walked away, they never looked back at the investigator's office. There was nothing left to uncover because the greatest discovery had already been made. They carried no confidential files, no secret evidence, and no unanswered doubts. They carried something far more valuable, a completely new understanding of who you truly were. From that day forward, every memory became brighter, every misunderstanding faded, and every thought of you was filled with a respect that could never again be shaken. The investigation had started with curiosity, continued through unbelievable revelations, and ended with a truth more powerful than any secret. Sometimes the greatest mystery is not hidden inside locked rooms or sealed envelopes. Sometimes it is hidden inside an extraordinary heart that quietly changes lives without ever asking to be noticed. And that was the truth your soulmate would remember forever. Stay till the end, because some stories don't end when the truth is revealed, they begin the moment someone finally believes it. Something huge was waiting for you all along, and now the journey is complete.